Alana, I'm going to start with you. You're the closest. Yes. What moment most shaped your leadership?
That's a good one. I would say, when I joined different boards and when I looked around the table and I was the only woman there, and that, kind of gave me a sense of reassurance that, yes, you made it to the table.
I love it. It's something to make that table, right? Absolutely. Tony, how about you? What moment most shaped your leadership?
I would say the moment is when I went back to school to get my master's. And I worked in local government for over 20 years at that time, and I love what I do. If you know me, I take a lot of pride in what I do. I feel very humbled and proud to serve the city of Manteca. But I felt that I needed to learn more, I needed to grow more, and I didn't know if people would take me seriously with my Parks and Rec background. So I went back to school, I got my master's, and I'm fortunate to have some opportunities within the city of Manteca where I was able to grow. But definitely going back to school. So if you're thinking about it, don't do it. Just do it. This is your vote of confidence today. This is your push. Don't miss out today. Don't miss out tomorrow on what you could be doing today. So definitely take the risk and do it. You won't regret it.
I love that. Seize the day. Yes. All right, Amber.
I think there's lots of moments that impact one's career, their trajectory and journey. For me, it was actually when I left the comfort of what I had known and been doing. I've had the fortune of working at Center Health for 17 years. But about 5 years ago, we were going through this thing called a pandemic. I don't know if anyone remembers those days. And we were in an interesting place as a company, as many people were making hard decisions. And I made the really risky decision to actually leave the company and take another opportunity out in San Ramon. And I think that shaped my career because it taught me that you can take risks, that they don't always turn out exactly the way that you thought they were going to. But the reason why I left is I had the opportunity to work for a female CEO. I had never had that opportunity in my career. I'd always worked for a man. There's nothing wrong with the men, very shout out to you. But I really wanted the opportunity to work under a female leadership, to be a sponge. She was Harvard, Stanford trained, absolutely beautiful, amazing human. And yes, to my DMC colleagues, I went to Tenet. Yes, I did it for 5 months. But I did that because, again, it was a risk that I needed to take in my career. And then 5 months later, who would have known? I got called back to Federal and came back to Central Valley and got the opportunity I have today. But if I hadn't taken that risk to take a career move, I wouldn't have propelled to the seat that I am very fortunate and privileged to sit in today.
Oh, exciting. Very exciting. So, I'm going to start this out. Tony, curious, who believed in you when you didn't? We all have those moments, right, where we just kind of struggled a little bit. So, Tony, who believed in you when you didn't?
Well, there's a couple pieces to this. So one, I work with a lot of really amazing people. So I don't sit up here because there's something special I'm doing every day. In fact, I drive most people crazy. But one, I think it's my team, and I want to thank all the ladies that are here with me today. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. But really, there is a moment that stands out to me. One, just kind of transitioning from Parks and Rec into the city manager's office, and I think I'm fortunate. And some of you may not know this, some of you may know this, but when I was interim and in the city managers, I actually reported to 5 male council members. I had 5 male bosses with very different personalities. But I will say that I feel like I've grown up in the city because I've worked there almost 20 years, and I've had the pleasure of working with Mayor Gary Singh. If any of you know him, he's a little wild just like I am. But I will say that he believed in me. He gave me an opportunity, and we've had a great working relationship. We don't always get along. We do not always get along. But it's really been a very humbling experience. And if you saw us, 10 years ago, us then, and if you if you know us now, we are completely different people. We've added on some more weight, we've added on some other things, but we have really grown into making this city one of the best cities in Manteca. And I want to say thank you, Gary, from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for believing in me and trusting me, giving me this opportunity. I always tell them I will never let you down, and I won't, and I won't let down the city either. So thank you.
Let's put our hands together for our city. Come on. Who believed in you when you just had that struggling moment?
It would be my husband. 30 years ago, we bought our first hotel, and he asked me to work there 1 month till we find a manager. So 30 years later, here we are. He hasn't found my replacement.
Still can't find that right manager, right? Or you did from day one. Amber?
Yeah, I love this question. I actually have the earliest memories of growing up here in Manteca. I was born and raised here, and I came from a blended family, very community family, working family, and so I didn't have a lot of role models and support at home. And so when I was about 13, 14 years old, I met this amazing human named Sharon Lacey. She goes by Shin, some of you know her, who introduced me to Manteca Youth Fitness. Shin is still today the chair of my personal board of directors. She is the person who's always in my corner, always providing mentorship to me. She has mentored, hundreds of thousands of youth here in the city of Manteca. But had I not been introduced to her, had I not been introduced to Manteca Youth Focus, I would not be who I am today. That organization has shaped not only who I am as a person, but really my core value of giving back to this community that I feel really fortunate to have grown up in. And so for those who know Shin, give her a big hug because she's one of the best cheerleaders that you could ever meet.
That kind of segues into my next question is, what's the one moment that changed you for the better, Amber?
Ooh.
I'm a feisty human, for those who don't know me, and I don't like being told no. And so I think the moment that changed me, honestly, was when I had a approach with their boss, this is about a decade ago, who saw my eagerness and my ambition as a threat, and used the words, "You should just sit down, shut up, and look good." And I'm quoting. I think that in the moment, I was so shocked that someone would actually have the nerve to say that, let alone somebody I would reported to. But I also quickly realized that that is his problem, his insecurity. And it was my opportunity to figure out a way to use my voice that would help bring people together, not push people away. So what I mean by that is, I was the student who, growing up here, Gary and I both were voted biggest ground rosers at Sierra High, class of 2000. And I was the person who rose my hand and had all the answers and was the teacher's pet. And as an adult, you realize how annoying that is. As a child, you think, you're special. And I think once I got into the professional world, I realized that my eagerness and my ambition was becoming off-putting to some. And there was what could I do with that? How was I going to change that? And it was really learning about how I built the connections with my team, with my people, how I sat back and gave them a chance to ask the same question that I wanted to ask, right? And that my strength was in developing others and not trying to always be number one or always be out in front. And so I thank him for saying really kind words to me, because it turned me inward and reflected as an early leader in my career at that time that it was going to be about the strength of the people I worked with and not just about proving it wrong.
I love that. How many of you can relate with that, right? We're here today for that. Yes. Thank you, Amber. Come on.
So I would say one of my employees that one of the businesses I manage, she mentioned that it's really difficult to work with me because I bounce. I am very high energy and I can talk about 30 things at a time and I can keep track of it, and she was tired of that. So that, at that time I was offended by it. Like, hey, Now I have agenda that I will circulate before I start conversation. I will take notes, and then I'll send a recap, because I know I am subject to some, because of my ADHD or something, not my personality, but that was a reflection that I learned from that. Yes, this person is not telling me something that's not true. It's a positive feedback, and I need to learn from it, and then improve my own way of disseminating the information as I'm doing. I think that's a great story. I'm looking for what I think, like, you guys can't relate to it, right?
Everyone's like, yes, this way. Tony, I'm curious, what lessons did you learn the hard way?
Oh wow, there's a lot. I think the one thing that I've definitely been learning and trying to practice being better at, but it's difficult because like I go at 1,000,000 miles per hour, but it's to sometimes, and I'm passionate about what I do, and if I believe in it, like sometimes even if I'm wrong, I still think I'm right, it's kind of a thing. But I'm trying to slow down and listen better, like a little bit better, just like not necessarily like sweat some of the like big things and look at things in a different manner. And I've really been kind of focusing on it this year, like, maybe it's not going to happen. But I think in my role, because I care so much about what I do, I take things personal. And so just trying to kind of let some things go and find that balance.
Yeah, balance is important. That's for sure. Yes.
But also getting reminders, my team wants to get me to take a breath. I know I need them.
Amber, what did being a woman shape your leadership?
I would say that I probably spent the first 2 decades of my career hustling for my work, is the way I like to describe it. I think as females, we feel like we have to check every box, we have to do everything perfectly, we have to work harder and longer just to earn a seat at the table. So I think realizing that early and putting that into practice really shaped who I was, but I would say that it's now a double-edged sword, because as I've gotten into my, let's say, next chapter or era of life, I'm actually trying to stop apologizing for being a woman, stop making excuses for the fact that I want to leave and get to my son's base loading. We've all, I'm sure in this room, can relate to whether you're a caregiver, a mother, a sister, a daughter, making sacrifices in your career that impact your family. And I thought I was doing those things because I had to, right? It's kind of somewhat survival when you're trying to make your way in a professional career. But I think what I've really learned is that being a woman is amazing. I loved how we started our day with the rose exercise, because the moment she said, picture those other color roses around you, they were my board of directors over here, my team members, all of those amazing women that shaped our life. And I think we have to stop apologizing for being women and just own and embrace our journeys, our stories. Because I'm sorry, we should be running the world.
I love that. Stop apologize for being a woman. Yes. Tony, to you. How did being a woman shape your leadership?
I think so. If you ever doubt yourself, because you just sit in different seats because we wear 1,000,000 hats, mom, wife, we work, we're friends. So being able to find that balance, and you can do it all. It's not always easy, but I think what's really important is making sure I kind of look at it as buckets, and like you have your own personal bucket, how you feel every day. Then you have your family, and then you have work. When one of the buckets is off, like how do you put that into compartments to like focus, and especially like in our positions, right? We still, no matter, something can be off at home, something can, and so how do we still move at that rate that we need to move to do what we need to do? And so I kind of learned to put things in compartments. I would agree with Amber. I do think it, for women, and I think especially for women in local government, we we are the first to work, we are the last to leave. We put in a lot, and it's different. And somebody recently told me in a conversation I had, because I was having a difficult conversation with an employee just about, like, I wanted them to do better, because I want my bosses to tell me when I need to do better. And they said to me, well, it's because you're a woman. If it was a man, it'd be no problem. And it's really too bad that it should be that way. And so I like wholeheartedly, like I think as women, we should be able to go to each other, we should be able to have difficult conversations, professional conversations, and we should respect each other and be able to lift each other up. And it's not always easy. And so I hope some of that stuff kind of goes away. But I think overall your support system and then making sure that you kind of keep things in line. But you can do it all. And anyone in here can do it all, but it's not always easy, and it's not always what it appears to be. It can be challenging, but I wouldn't change it for anything.
I love the bucket analogy because, sometimes all of our buckets start, so certain buckets overfill at times, right? And then we see one bucket get a little empty, and I love that bucket analogy. Absolutely. So, come on. What skill, actually, no, let me back up. What keeps you grounded as a leader?
I think my faith keeps me grounded as a leader. People that are around me, my support system keeps me grounded. I look at all of them, I take energy from them. If they're happy, I am happy. They are providing the best service that we can to our guests and our clients. And if there is enough in their life that impacts all of us. So I used to be go, 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 this is the agenda, this is what we're gonna do. But now I hear the sense of sadness in their voice, and I stop myself and I ask them, how are you? Let's talk about you first. We can talk about what I called you about later, but tell me about you. How are the kids? How's financial health? Where can I help you so you feel comfortable? That support system keeps me grounded, and that reminder of my faith as a Sikh. We are the one Shekinah group that you distribute what you earn, and you volunteer. And I try to take that away from each week. I volunteer in many organizations, and just constant reminder of that you are not only here to gather for yourself and your family, you're also here to distribute what you have.
Amber, what keeps you grounded?
Love this question. I have similar thoughts as you do. I think first and foremost, every single day I get the opportunity to run out with our patients and staff as part of my job, and that keeps me grounded. We have the privilege to work in an industry like we do in healthcare, where you're impacting lives, even if you're not a clinical, person. When I get to sit down and talk to them and hear about their stories, people come into our facilities at the most vulnerable moments of their lives, and that vulnerability lends to the deepest, human connection that you can possibly have. So I think the daily practice of grounding and connecting with other people is what keeps me grounded at work. Also, what keeps me grounded at work is my close friends over here, who, again, have the courage to be honest with me and share feedback, which is a gift, so we can keep growing and learning together, so thank you for that. And the last thing I would say, what keeps me grounded is coming back home, sitting in this room right here. I've been in this room for my 10-year high school reunion, I've been in this room for my brother's memorial service when I lost him, I've been in this room for so many events, and Manteca keeps me grounded, because it's where I was born and raised and where I was shaped, so.
Ooh, Tony, that's how you roll. It's 2 days. What keeps you grounded, Tony?
Okay, well, there's a couple weird things I do that, so there's a couple things, personally and professionally. So personally, if you know, I've been on this health and wellness kick, and there's a reason behind all that, but personally, I like to have my greens every day, I have my collagen, I just have this little routine, right? there's a thing that I say when I'm driving to work every day where I just kind of like, be grateful for everything that I have, like my job, my friendships, like, so, and those are just personal little things that I do. There's things that I do with my family, like to make sure that the week goes smoother. But, you know, I'd like to say like I'm really good at this at work, but I don't know, I might just like that chaos sometimes. But I do try and kind of be ahead of it, like my day, the day before every day. So like when I close out a day, it's like I try and look to see what's the next day. What do I have going on? How can I make the next day easier? How can I connect? And then I think the other thing that really keeps me grounded is I always try and find balance between family, work, and then even time with my friends. And when I say my friends, these are my girls, you know, people that I can, you know, vent to, cry to, just kind of let it all out when you need to. So I think really taking time to balance, you know, your family, your work life, but also making time, you know, as a woman to be with your girlfriends, I think is really, really important. Whether that be your coworkers, and yes, some of my coworkers are my friends, and even just my friends that I've grown up with. I think is really important.
I love that. So I heard faith, connectivity, balance, health and wellness. I mean, all of it. I mean, we all really have to have all of those assets. That's for sure. So, what skill mattered more than you expected? Amon?
Communication. So being able to walk into a room and talk to people that first judge you by your appearance. And they look at you, you're brown, your English, the way you pronounce words is not exactly the way they pronounce words. So that you can overcome that by communication, by speaking to them, by talking, by learning from them, by listening first of all. So communication, it's been my strong suit, and I've always tried to stay on top of it. You know, with YouTube and all that, I have little nephews and now I have grandchildren. So I try to learn what are the new buzzwords to talk to them, how do they communicate with that. So sometimes they, you know, laugh or some skibbity-doo or whatever, you know. So, you know, I come to their level and that's how I communicate. And that's, you know, when I'm talking to young children, I also volunteer at a Sunday school, and because in Indian culture, women are not always leaders. And I wanted to make sure that the girls that were under my supervision or in my classes, they saw that, you know, here's this girl, came from India, and she finished her education here, and is leading huge organization. And I always remind myself that, you know, I need to communicate that level of success to future generations. So, you know, just wherever I go, I try to learn their language, I try to assimilate how they talk, I try to be at their level. So that, I think, is key. Communication is key to, you know, connect with people around you.
So, with that being said, what advice would you give your younger self today?
Don't doubt yourself. You can do it.
Hello, Tony, what about you? What advice would you give your younger self today?
I would say don't hesitate. If you really want to do something, just do it. And I think that's probably one thing. I wish I would have done something sooner than when I've done them. Not that I'm not happy with anything. I just feel like I think if you really want to do something, if you believe in it, don't wait. Do it. You can do it.
Amber, how about you? Younger version.
Yeah, I'm trying to regulate my emotions right now because I think that is a loaded question. And I think that our culture for young women is very difficult. So I look back at what I thought felt believed when I was a younger So I was looking for a sense of belonging. That's why Manteca means so much to me, because I was able to find that through that. So I would look at my younger self and just say, stop looking for belonging and know that you belong to yourself. You will always belong to yourself. You don't have to prove it to anybody else. But I spent a good 30 years of my life looking for ways in which I could belong instead of just being true to me.
That's transparency and vulnerability. Thank you. Absolutely. So, what do you wish women knew sooner? Amber?
I think the thing that comes to mind first is I did my doctorate program in basically why women aren't more in the C-suite than they are, because I was really passionate and I was curious to understand more about this glass ceiling that we grew up hearing about, right? Why do we have this glass ceiling? Why does this exist? And through that research, through so many interviews with both men and women in the professional space, I learned so much about how we are our worst enemies. We self-limit. We don't apply for the job unless we check off every single box, right? We don't put ourselves out there for the next opportunity because we have that imposter syndrome, right? And so I think that it's just so important to build your own confidence and your own, knowledge, skills, and abilities, whatever you feel like you need to feel comfortable in your own skin, because we limit ourselves from amazing opportunities, and that requires courage, right? Renee, I'm a big Renee Brown nerd, courage over comfort. I think that's on my poster there as well. But it really does start with the courage to just put yourself out there. You're doing that today. You're here at a chamber event, you're networking with people, you're meeting new folks in the room that you don't know where that's going to lead to in your life and in your career. And so, yeah, I would say start with courage.
Tony, how about you? What do you wish women knew sooner?
Okay, and this is my tagline too, I think, in the brochure. And I think we forget, because as we're growing up, then we become moms, or we're going to college, and I think there's a point in our life as women, we're so entrenched in 1,025 things we're doing, we forget that you only live once. You only live once, and it's really up to us to make that count, and however that is. And whether that's having fun and getting a little wild, or taking a risk, or speaking up, or buying a damn teal blue chair and putting it in a park. Make it count. Not everyone's going to like what you do, but don't be scared to do something if you think it's the right thing. And I say that day in and day out. Not everyone's going to like what I do. Not everyone's going to love it. But you know what? If I think it's right and I feel like it's the right thing always wins. So.
Well, we thank you for the blue chair. It's something everybody would talk about.
Yes.
Okay, so Amon, what's the one truth about leadership that you've learned?
So, I think for a leader to be a true leader, you have to be a mentor first. That old adage or saying of you can give somebody a fish once and you feed them for one day and you teach them how to fish and they can eat forever. That is what I always try to do. Somebody needs money, rather than lending $50 or $500, I would say, if you need money, I'll teach you how to earn that money. If you need more hours, I will give you a second job. I'll find you a job. I will teach you. This is the second thing you can do to earn that money. That instills pride in them. That instills confidence in them. And then that's a skill they'll carry for their life. It's not you lend somebody $50 or $500 and then that solves their problem. So that's my strength, and I think I do it very well.
Thank you. Tony, what's the one truth about leadership that you've learned?
Well, I mean, I embrace this probably too much, so thank you to the city council members that are here that let me embrace. But I think the most important thing is be you. Be authentic. Don't be fake. Don't find it on I mean, there's the good and the bad with what that comes to, but those who know me, you either love me or don't. I don't know, but I think it's really important to just be who you are. Be who you are. I think it goes a long way in many levels, and I think there's a lot of good in that. So.
I feel very similarly with you that, for me, I feel like leadership is about developing the potential in others. I think so much of a leader's privilege is the opportunity to develop and support other people. And so I think it's really important that that's the focus of the time, the energy, what's being spent, because that pays forward in way more dividends than I think just kind of short-term, opportunities look like. And then I would say the other thing that I would add is that I think it's really important to remember that as leaders, we don't always know all the answers. But people get into leadership positions and they earn a title and then they believe that entitles them to be the know-it-all, the boss, the one in charge. And humility goes a long way. You can actually connect more with people by saying, you know what, I don't know, but I'll go figure that out. Let's go work on that together. And I think it doesn't matter if your title is CEO, supervisor, or administrative assistant, where I started 17 years ago. Have humility to know that bringing people together, staying curious, you learn more together as a group, as a team, than you do individually on your own.
So, Mom, I'm going to ask you, how do you define success today, in today's world?
Defining success today is being able to take time off, being able to take a morning off, come to this luncheon and not worry about that everything's going to fall, off the cliff 1 year away, which used to be my life. So I think I have developed systems, I've developed people, to have that time for myself, that, everything's not going to fall apart just because you're not answering your phone or you're not checking your email constantly.
Get a little tied up in that, that's for sure. Tony, how about you? How do you define success today, besides the blue chair?
It doesn't make me smile. I think being happy, I know you shared taking time off, but I love going to work. And actually, even when I go on vacation, I'm like, all right, I'm ready to go back. Which might sound crazy, but I love the people I work with. I love the work that I do. But I think it's a personal choice everyone makes every day, right? And that kind of goes back to the buckets, right? Each one. What is your outlook every day when you wake up? Your family, your spouse, your work, right? So all of us have a choice every day on how that's going to look and what the day's going to look like. Sometimes they're good and sometimes they're bad, but I think it's a choice we make too.
Well, you all are very successful women, so I'm curious, Amber, what are you still learning today to keep sharpening your skills?
I'm learning every day. Life is humbling, and every time you think you know, life will show you that you don't know. I think I am learning how to deepen the connections with the ones that I love. I'm at that phase of life where I'm still raising a 9-year-old and taking care of my 84-year-old grandmother, who I moved down here from Eureka a few months ago. And so it's an interesting phase of life when you've got both kind of ends of your family that you're still doing caregiving for. I think I'm also really learning how to balance the passion that I have at work, because I'm like you, Tony, I could live there every day. I love what I do. I love the people I work with. They're my family. I have 3 tilt chairs, by the way, in my office. So we got this with the blue chairs. But I'm learning how to take my passion for what I get to do every day and still create the balance of doing the other things that I love. Because I, like you, feel like I can do it all. And there are only so many hours in the day. So if I had my way, I'd be on a beach in the Dominican Republic right now. I'd also still be working, and I'd also be still hanging out with my dog, Abby. And I want to do all the things. And sometimes it's for me, I realize that I burn the candle at both ends because I run myself 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. most days. And when I find myself exhausted, it's the time to reflect and just recognize that, I've overfilled one of those buckets, as Tony would say. But yeah, I think it's just really important to take your passions and your energies that you want to spend your time on and make sure that you're dedicating to each of those buckets so that you will fulfill life. You do all the things that you want to do.
Sometimes you gotta slow down to go forward, right? I love that.
Oh, my old boss used to say that. You have to go slow to go fast. I'm like, no, I go fast all the time.
How about you? What are you still learning today?
I am learning to say no. That I don't have to do everything. Because that's me. I go after the shiny. Okay, there's light, and I run towards it. But learning to say no, that I need to slow down. You know, if I get a call from my granddaughter, I know she only is gonna call me once because I called her back the other day. She's 3 by 4. And she's like, Nana G, I called you, you didn't answer, now I'm covering. So, learning to say no, I don't have to be busy when she calls. Learning to say no, I don't have to head this new, board seat that came to me. I don't have to do buy a new hotel or start a new company or take on a new contract to manage the next hotel. So just learning, and not really successful yet, learning, but just learning to say no.
I love that. Yes. Tony, how about you?
I mean, I'm a newer leader in this role, so I mean, I'm constantly learning. I mean, from the 5 council members, from my team, from the work that I do, and I'm enjoying every bit of it. I mean, I probably have a problem. I think I have a problem with not saying no. I'm always like, yeah, sure. But I think, if I had to pick some of the things, I probably need to maybe just slow down, patience sometimes, or things that I could focus on. But I was just at a training yesterday, and I went to a seminar, and I was like, oh, now I want to do all this stuff. Then I do that to myself too. So, but I mean, I think as leaders, we are always putting ourselves in situations where we can learn and grow, whether it's from other people, our peers, classes we can take, and that's some of the stuff that I really enjoy in the work that I'm doing when I get out of the office, or even out of my office into the community, talking to people, because that's one thing I don't like to be stuck in my office all the time. So when I can get out, I like to, or whether it's a professional training too. So I've got a lot to go. I know it. So I'm always open for any advice. For the most part, maybe not. I'm just kidding.
All right, so Amber, what gives you hope for women leaders today?
Well, being in a room full of all of you, I mean, this is absolutely beautiful. It's inspiring. I think we can get shaped by the 1 or 2 women in our lives who maybe weren't super supportive, or we like to say catty, right? Sometimes we can put ourselves in those situations where we're not supporting other women. But when you step back and think about that end size is this big. And the women who inspire you is this big. So always, again, take perspective on all of the people who want to see you succeed and want to partner with you and be with you. But this gives me hope. Being in rooms like this today, knowing that, we're all doing amazing things in this community and in our professional and personal lives, I mean, this fills my cup.
That's great. Put your hands together. Yes. Tony, what gives you hope?
I mean, I've been fortunate enough to kind of see trends in what I do change over the years, and so I'm going to tell you a quick little story. Years ago, the mayor was gracious enough to invite me to an infrastructure conference in Washington, D.C. to lobby for funds, which we've been really successful at. And it was probably like 4 or 5 years ago. And I'll tell you, walk into the state capitol, and I mean, I've worked in local government for many years. This is like so exciting to me. I'm going to learn. And I'm going to tell you, there's probably about like 20 men and maybe like 2 women.
Oh.
So, but I'll tell you, what's really exciting and which gives me hope is I have a woman council member now. She's actually right there. What else having a woman as the city manager hasn't been a really common thing. It's been more prevalent, more common in the LA area, but not here. And so I'm really proud that I've been able to be a part of that trend change. I'm proud to work with these great ladies, and someday maybe they're gonna be the next woman walking down that street in DC, and it's gonna be 2 men and all women. So it gives me a lot of hope. And like I said, my heart really goes out to the mayor and the council. I am a lot, and I'll tell you, they would agree. But they've given me a lot of grace. They've given me, a lot of leniency in that, and I've learned so much, and I really feel blessed for that. So it's just exciting, and I know it's going to change, and so I think it's so. If that doesn't bring you hope, I don't know what does, but it's cool to see. I'll tell you that.
That is very good. What would you say gives you hope for women leaders?
I think the room full of women leaders is great hope. I am happy to see all of you here. I am, every walk of life that, when I started as a board of director or I started going to hotel conferences, I was the only woman. And I would find an old uncle that would, take me under their wing and, take me around and introduce me to different vendors and stuff. But now that I go to Washington for hotel lobbying, and similarly, we have 50% women going with us now in different events for our hotel industry. I see women on, fireside chat. We are discussing things. We have our own partnership conference that we have started. So there's hope. I came from India where, Indira Gandhi was the prime minister in 1970s. And then I came to US and we haven't had our own president woman yet. But it's okay. We'll get there one day. We're gonna start here and teach our girls and our granddaughters to be the leaders that we need to be to become the president of the United States.
I like the yes on that. Yes. So our last and final question. This is a big one, ladies. What is your one intention going into 2026? Here we are already in February. What is the one thing that you have committed to make that retirement? Tony?
It's one word.
Yeah.
I'm gonna cut it to one word, but it's really like 3. But it's love. That's it. That's all I got.
I got love for you, babe.
Isn't that appropriate too? Like, there's more to that story. It's love. Love.
I love it. Amber,
I'm going to try and keep with your theme of one word. Mine is tenacity.
oh, very good. Come on, your one intention.
I'm going to add a word, self-love.
Ladies, everyone here, let's put our hands together for an amazing panel. Yes! Our first annual Galentine's. Let's put it together. We got some powerful women up here. Yes, thank you so much. You guys have been so vulnerable and transparent and leading the way for all of us here. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes!